Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Alrighty, we're back, everyone. This is Paraversal Universe on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Also heard on WCET 101.7 FM terrestrially, as well as the Rift Radio Network, Family, and the APPRN on Blog Talk. We're your hosts, Kevin and Jennifer Malek. We're glad you are with us as always. And we want to tell everyone that for sure, starting this weekend, we are going to be releasing the T-shirt of the logo and painting for the Lake Monstrosities for purchase. And of course, half the proceeds will go to charity and the specific cause to help 8-year-old Daniel DiMisa, who suffers from Dravet syndrome and seizures on a regular basis. This is the son of our graphic art director, Lawrence DiMisa, and the same little boy who painted our logo picture for Lake Monstrosities that we use to this very day. This is a most excellent way to give back to the DiMisa family for all their friendship and artwork and graphic art they provide every week for the show, and of course to Lake Monstrosities. So look for those shirts coming up soon. I am very anxious to post about it. I think it's going to go well. So, and they're beautiful shirts, good quality, everything.
They're awesome shirts. And I want to add really quickly, we were informed a little bit ago that his son suffered another seizure. So I just wanted to let him know that from all of us here, our thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family, Lawrence.
So, yeah. And by the time many people hear this archive, they may already be out. So if you're interested, go to the Lake Monstrosities group page on Facebook. It's a great group, great artwork, great shirt for a great cause. This segment is brought to you by the 5-star Reader Choice Award-winning epic fantasy trilogy Helm by Robert L. Malek. It's Helm. And back to the show. This is Paraversal Universe, and this is the one and only Paralogian Report. And who's next? I am. So my article, the article I brought to the table, is found on realexplainedmysteries.com. And this is from March 6th, 2019. Mongolian death worm sightings. In this article, we will be taking a look at the famous Mongolian death worm sightings that seem to be concentrated in the Gobi Desert. It sounds like the title of a really cheesy 1960s Hammer horror, but there is more to the story than meets the eye. So let's take a closer look. A British zoologist named Carl Schuker released a piece of work in 2002 that seems to lean towards the fact that this strange creature actually exists and may be concealed amid the sands of the southern Gobi Desert. He goes on to explain that the numerous sightings describe the creature as being a large, fat, and grotesque worm that reaches the lengths of about a meter. It is apparently dark, red in color, with spike-like projections at both ends of its body. Locals to the area believe that the worm spends about 80% of its time under the surface of the sand. When it is spotted on top of the desert sands, people tend to stay well clear of it. The local name for the legendary worm is Olgoi korotoi, and there have been reports over the years claiming that the creature can kill in several fearsome ways. The most popular weapon at its disposal is a stream of corrosive venom that it spits at anything that gets too close to it. It is also said to be able to electrocute its victims from a distance. Over the years, numerous expeditions and teams of cryptozoologists have scoured the desert looking for any sort of evidence that could be linked to this creature, but they have all come back empty-handed. There's not even a photograph of the beast to fall back on. Many experts agree that there is no hard evidence, but they also believe that there is no smoke without fire. Most legends and stories must have some basis in historical truth, after all. So, does it really exist? Well, many expert cryptozoologists believe so, but unlike the Yeti or Bigfoot, there is no hard evidence to back this up. At least the forest man has been good enough to leave numerous large footprints behind, or a clump of hair, etc. In some cases, he's even been caught on camera. But there's absolutely nothing except legend and local folklore to back up the existence of the Mongolian deathworm. Recently, a set of researchers came to the conclusion that the Mongolian deathworm likely does not exist, and the belief is instead based upon sightings of another type of limbless reptile. This reptile is thought to be a type of sand boa snake. What do you think? Do you think it's rather frightening and grotesque creatures like this actually exist? Or is it nothing more than a local legend based in folklore? So, that's the article I brought to the table. I think it's really interesting. Again, talking about cryptids, having historical or history to back up a cryptid, it really, for people like me, is important. But again, we don't have a body, so it stays myth and folklore for now. But it also a suspected cryptid, and I wouldn't know how they would go about actually lulling one out. I would think that sooner or later, but there are reports too, enough stories that the legend continues throughout time. Does anyone else have any?
All I can say is I would never want to run across that out in the woods.
Or the desert.
Right. But you know what? It's a fascinating article because it talks about, yet again, something else that hasn't been well documented and is just unexplained. And it'll be interesting to see if anybody in the coming years can get that hard physical proof that this exists. I think it would be interesting.
It would be a big deal.
It would be a huge
Yes.
deal if they found it.
Well, didn't we see that, though, on Beetlejuice? That's what I envisioned when I was reading that article. It was just like, ah!
That's right. When Kevin was reading the article, Joni in chat envisioned the movie Tremors.
There you go.
So, what does our resident cryptozoologist think about the Mongolian deathworm?
Well, when I was this story is wrote in my book, my second book. When I was a child, Augustine, which was Ben Standing Crow's wife, came to our farm because we had a problem with a couple of the calves dying out in the field. When the vet came out there, the animals had no blood. He couldn't figure it out, so he did a somewhat of an in-field autopsy, looking for any kind of incision or anything. The only marks he had found were on the lower leg, the rear leg, which were in a circular type with 4 deep, like fang lacerations. Well, this upset Augustine, and similar to the Mongolian deathworm, she had a story similar to that, but she called it the bloodworm. The bloodworm basically is a spirit animal, and when you lay on the ground over a hole that looks similar to a gopher hole or a ground squirrel hole, the deathworm comes and sucks your blood out. How you lure this worm out of the hole is by pouring blood around the hole, and then you'll see it. That entire story is in my second book, but I have heard of the Mongolian death worm from a Irish individual, Luke Malloy, which I known on expeditions, and we kept in contact. He basically went over to Mongolia and was searching for him for quite some time. And he had himself never come across anything like it. It is an interesting cryptid. It strikes fear in the tribes and the people that believe in it, in the jungles and the deserts. But as far as finding anything, yes, it could be a misidentification, or it could be, as Augustine said, a spirit animal, as many of the Native American creatures are. They are of a spirit type, or something that now is extinct. That's about it.
I like that. Well, we got 4 minutes left to the top of the hour. So why don't we does anybody have any links they'd like to share? Anything they'd like to promote before we wrap this up?
Well, I'd love to shout out my book, Unknown Objects, The Top 10 U.S. UFO Cases, available at Amazon. Who's next?
Okay. Everyone go check that out.
And I can throw out my main website, which not only just covers the books, but everything in my business and stuff like that. That is Replures, spelled REPLURES, .webs.com. Anyone can go there. They can see what I do. They can see both my books are on there. Everything. That's my main website. That's it.
Okay. And of course, people can find us at the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society, or at Paraversal Universe.
And I'll just say again, it's Gene Broida here, and my website is lightwork111.com.
That's Gene Broida, Lightworker111. We can barely hear you. We lost you. I don't know.
Oh, my apologies. Is that better? Yeah.
No.
Sorry, it's Gene Broida, Broida, Gene at lightwork111.com, which is my website, lightwork111.com. Articles of interest for Paralogian types, and I'm seeking people who'd like to be published on basically a blog. Check it out.
There you go, everyone. And of course, all the networks that carry our content, they have sites too. We'd like to thank everyone.
Can I just say that I...
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
In addition to WBHM-DB.com, which is where a lot of you are listening to this, I also have my show page, paranormalexperienced.com. That includes bio and some links to some old shows with some fascinating guests. And fatemag.com, which is the homepage for Fate Magazine. And you'll find my show, Fate Mag Radio, played there as well as WBHM.
Fate Magazine, a staple in the paranormal since the 50s.
1948 was when it was first published. Yes, isn't that cool? It's the longest running in print magazine of its type.
It is awesome that you're the voice of fate.
Thank you. I like doing that too.
Alrighty. So next Friday, we will have a mystery guest. So check that out. Feel free to support any of the networks mentioned here tonight, as well as Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society LTD, 501c3 nonprofit organization, by donating. It's folks like you who ensure that these excellent networks will be here tomorrow. To the believer, the evidence is over.